And it's why? Because they festooned it. Again, it was doing the same thing. So he had a hard time even cutting it out. So, you know, they lay this pattern across and this big knife cuts through all these at a time. And what they do is, since it's festooned, the faces are facing each other, and the one that's against each other, that's a pairing that's going to now go, it's going to travel to the sewing station where the lady is going to sit there and pick up that pair that's together, and she's going to sew it. Well, nowhere along the way did anybody say, from the cutter all the way down to the lady sewing it, there's a problem here. I've never had anything that was so hard. Nobody said it. So he told me it would be 2 weeks to produce these. 8 weeks later, he's still putting me off. 8 weeks later, and I'm calling him, and somewhere in between, at some point, he had called and said, how much buckwheat do you want? By the way, they're filled with buckwheat. I know I'm not very good at filling in the details, but it's filled with buckwheat. 6 cups of buckwheat is what they were supposed to get. And he's saying, when I talked to him on the phone, he said, it's taken us like 5 minutes to fill this thing, and it is jam-packed. And I was telling him, well, it's not supposed to be jam-packed. And I said, you know, two-thirds of the neck should be empty, and it only takes me 2 minutes to fill it, and I'm doing it in the, you know, from a funnels thing. And he's using a Venturi system with, you know, you techie people know what that means. I learned what it means. The Venturi is like the forced air that forces the buckwheat into it. And and I'm explaining to him, it's wrong, I don't know what your problem is, but it's still not really connecting, you know, not really connecting. So I get down there, like I said, happiest day of my life. 5-hour drive. And as soon as I walked in the door, it was like, oh my God, oh my God. And it took a while to let it sink in, walk around, try to, is this everywhere? Is this every single one of them? Yeah, it was every one of them. So as a result of the cutting, they were too small and already distorted. As a result of the sewing, they were further distorted and even smaller. Oh, and another thing was the dart. Headbone has a dart. See, this one's flat. There's no dart up here. This one down here has a dart because it's got a little section here, you know, just like women's blouses. They have darts in them to make it poach out. So on the pattern that I'd given them, they have a PDF file, digital file, pattern that I created myself. And this is a solid line, the shape for the pattern, right? The dart, the dotted line. It's an inverted V. So the idea is you cut out the whole thing. At the time, headbone was just 2 pieces, a front and a back. Now it's like 6 pieces. They're sewn together. It's a nicer version now. But what they did was, and see, this is an inverted V. What they did when they cut the pattern out, this dotted line, they cut the dotted line out. We don't see it there. They cut it out. It was actually a sew line. You're supposed to sew on that line, not cut it. So when they cut it, they then put it together and sewed 5/8 inches, a 5/8 inch seam, which now reduced the size of the whole thing by 1 and whatever, 5/8 and 5/8. It's now reduced by that much. So they were small. I wish I had a sample to show you. I'm sorry I didn't bring one. But those were the 3 things. And then the fourth reason that he told me, and this is how he got out of, I wound up paying half of his labor cost. Instead of paying him $4 for each, I paid him $2 for each. And of course, I had already bought the fabric, the buckwheat, the labels, the shipping to get it all there, the U-Haul, everything, all that I had to eat, and pay him $2 per headbone. So I wrote him a check for $4 grand anyway. So anyway, the 4th thing that he told me was the problem was you bought cheap fabric because what they did was when they made the fabric and rolled it onto the bolt, they stretched it. And so therefore when we cut it, it shrank. The fabric shrank when they cut it by 2 inches on one headbone. Please. So anyway, I did contact a lawyer, and she said, what do you want to do, sell your product, or you want to get involved in a lawsuit? I said, I want to sell my product. Okay, we'll deal with it and move on. And it took a long time to recover from that. To bring those things home and get out a straight blade and dump it out. Was able to recover the buckwheat. So I at least got that back. But, and it took several trips. And, oh, it was awful. It was just a disaster. And I could tell you more. The guy wound up, 3 days after I sent him an email saying, you know, after I'd gone home a day after this happened, I sent him an email saying, I know what happened, and I know that it's your responsibility, and blah, blah, blah. 3 days later, I call him back after the 4th of July holiday, asked to talk to him. Vic, he had a major heart attack, and he's still in the hospital. So that further complicated things. And anyway, I tried to go back and work with these people, believe it or not. And that's when I took these pictures, is when I went back. And we did make a few more together. I actually was there babysitting them to make sure it got done. But it's like, I can't deal with this. I mean, they told me I couldn't be in the building because Carl, the owner, was coming for lunch and asked me, please leave. We don't want him seeing you. It might upset him. So I think it's time to find a new manufacturer. So that's what I did. Now I have one in Boston. And they're the ones who made this, and it's better. It's a lot better than what it was.
I thought you said you got one in China.
Excuse me? No, I was giving the example. If you did do it in China, this is an example of being able to speak the same language and still have these problems. So, and they just go on and on and on. I mean, the people I have now are very good, but so, and again, what I'm conveying to you all is just like, these are the nuts and bolts of what somebody goes through. And I don't know how helpful all this is. I could talk all night about examples.
Did you
Yes.
have a contract with the manufacturer?
Sort
Or
of.
was it verbal?
Sort of. It was just kind of verbal, you know. And I was told you should have it in writing, but listen.
Well, my question is, well, you just answered one about now you're ready for production. You can produce it in mass numbers now, amounts now. Because what I wanted to ask, number two, was, it seems that the product is definitely geared for, I know chairs, but cars, automotive. Have you gone to AAA for their catalog? It seems like at the price that you're having, they have several items in the AAA catalog that would definitely fit in.
Have you ever sold anything with them? Have you contacted them for anything? You have? You've gotten something in there? Really? Cool.
But
I would
be definitely something that would be a plus.
If you could send me some information on that, that'd be great.
Just heard now,
That'd be great.
that would be part of a great book that everybody hears how to, what not to do with manufacturing.
See,
that would be great.
right.
That book probably would make money.
I was hungry for information of real stories. Do y'all find many real stories about what you really go through? I think there was a dearth of that kind of thing. So, you know, yes.
There is a book, the Inventors Bible.
Uh-huh.
That's a very good book.
I think I have that one.
My question is how did you arrive at your selling for your price of a particular product? Granted, you pay somebody $4, and then it would
Right.
profit and you know, it's all said and done.
I looked at the market. One of my favorite books is Standalone Inventor by Bob Merrick. Anybody read that? Isn't that a great book? But it's about doing what I'm doing. It's about manufacturing. It's not about licensing. A lot of inventing books are about licensing. And that just happened to be the first one I read, was Bob Merrick's Standalone Inventor. So that's what put me in the mindset of, well, I'm just going to do this myself. But there are formulas, and I think it's probably in all of the books. The formula is, well, you've got your wholesale cost. Well, your retail has got to be double your wholesale cost. Let's say the market will stand a price of $20. Your wholesale cost now that you sell to the retailers has got to be $10. Half that. And then you even want to have more room in there because a lot of them still want different allowances for shipping or whatever, and the QVCs and the Walmarts and all them, they want more than 50% marked down. And then, so beyond